So this 980 is going to be on Mayday, and it'll be in three parts. This first part is going to be calling the Mayday and the Chupacabra. So why on Mayday? Well, first off, we're in the middle of some really great Mayday training and a program designed by some great individuals who've taken the time to develop something that will save us, that will help us. It's just amazing. And so first off, it's a thanks to them. And the other part of this is that, we owe it to not only them, but we owe it to our crew to do more than just this training. We need to fully understand Mayday situations. We need to fully train our crews and how they're going to call for a Mayday. And again, because Mayday is going to be pretty personal. Most of the time, they're a single person. And I don't know about you, but hearing one of my crew members call a Mayday, I would rather we had trained more on it. You can't train enough on this stuff. And the interesting thing, and really what got me into Maydays way back in 2007, which is when I took a class at the National Fire Academy on calling the Mayday. And then, of course, Project Mayday came in about 2012, 2013. And as I was gathering information, and I kind of realized that it really hit two of my passions. One is training and the other is mindset. And so not just the training to train for the Mayday, but training overall. And so you were given a thing on watch outs on when you should be concerned and when Maydays occur. And what I learned as I was going through this is that it's training in everything. It's training in the basics. Look, your job is to rescue other people trapped in burning structures. I don't know of a lot of things more dangerous than that. And no matter what we do, we're never going to make it risk-free. Never. And so we have to mitigate the risk the best we can. And in fact, Mayday is mitigating when the risks that we took fail, right? Something bad has happened, and now we're in trouble. Training is everything. But the other part of this, and I think what is as fascinating, if not more, is the mindset. So the mindset of calling a Mayday and what you're going to need to do and what mindset you're going to be in is critical. And it really reinforces the fact that if you don't do more training, you're not going to call the Mayday correctly. It has to be burned into your brain. It has to be in your lizard brain. It has to be burned in on what you're going to do. And I've talked about this before, when then training. When this happens, then it will do this. What you are doing is training your mind to react. We have all maxed out on calls. We've all pegged out. And where we've pegged out for a second and we've kicked into lizard brain, probably where we will all relate and we can all remember probably the most is disorientation. Every one of us have been in a structure fire where for a split second we were disoriented and we didn't know we were. And in the back of our mind is somebody screaming, panic, 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 run, because an untrained person would do that, right? But you have trained yourself through stress inoculation and putting yourself in that position and training your thinking brain and your lizard brain on how to react and how to overcome that. And you do, right? You do whatever it is you need to do and you continue moving forward. And when I talk about this stuff, I'm not talking about this is like minutes. It's not even a second. It's microseconds. It all happens at the blink of an eye. It happens like that. And the perfect example to me is the Chupacabra story. So I have told myself that if an animal ever ran in front of my car, I would not swerve without thinking, because swerving without thinking usually leads to death and injury. So that's not the right way to do it. And so what I have said is, using when-then training, when an animal runs out in front of my car, then I will continue on my path. I will purposely apply the brakes. I will look for an out. If I do not see an out, I will continue straight. I will hit the animal. I've trained myself when-then thinking so that when this occurs, that is how I'm going to react. When this happens, then this. And it's the same thing with Mayday. And so I'm on a fire in Northern California, middle of nowhere. I'm a field observer, and I'm driving down a road and I'm distracted with the radio and thinking about my assignment. No different than on a fire. On a fire, you're not pulling a hose line thinking of Mayday. You're pulling the hose line thinking about nozzle application and fire dynamics and everything that is that you're doing. And when the Mayday happens, it needs to be automatic. And so I've told myself, that's what I'm going to do when an animal runs out in front of my car. So I'm driving down the road and I'm cruising, and this Chupacabra runs out in front of my car. And it all happened so fast. It was just, I had no control. It just happened. Something told me to swerve out of the way. And all I did was a little, I didn't even barely take the play out of the wheel. I never turned the wheel, because as my body started to turn away from the animal, my when-then thinking and my lizard brain kicked in, and I purposely applied the brakes. I continued straight on course. I looked for an out. I had a wall to one side, of a dirt wall to one side, and a cliff to the other. I saw no out, and I continued through, and I hit the animal. And then I got out, and what's the next step? Who, what, where, air. So now I'm moving through the process. I get out. Chupacabra's dead, and messed up the fender on my car. But at least I didn't go over the side, because that was the alternative. And when we talk about Mayday training, it has to be automatic. You have to train the lizard brain to react. You have to go, it has to be Mayday, 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 Assistant 11 QRD, and I'm pushing the emergency button, right? And then I know now that who, what, where, air is coming. And so I'm working the process. And by us having an approach and a pre-thought out thought process, as well as steps to take, that's how we get action immediately and work out a lizard brain into thinking brain. Because otherwise you panic and you lock and nothing happens. And we know that in a Mayday situation, the sooner we get help to the person, the better. And that's only going to happen with a quick reaction. And you do that by constant repetition. Mayday, 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 Assistant 11 QRD. Push the emergency button. Mayday, 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 Assistant 11 QRD. Push the emergency button. And we do that through repetition. So you're not going to get good enough on just the training you're getting now. You have to sit down with your crews and do this on a regular basis 1,000 times until it's burned into their lizard brain so that it happens on automatic. And that can mean anything from however you want to do it. We were dogpiling each other in the brown chairs and then forcing guys to call a Mayday. Whatever you need to do to get this first part burned into their brain, you need to do it. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to give you permission, full permission to go hands-on with me. If you grab me and throw me in a closet at the fire station next time I'm there, I guarantee you I'm going to call the Mayday and I'm going to call it correctly. If I'm sitting in your brown chair and you jump on me and dogpile me and told me to call the Mayday, I'm going to do it correctly. Mayday, 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 Assistant 11 QRD. Push the emergency button. You've got to get your crews so burned in that that's what they do and that's what they know. And that's only going to happen with constant repetition. So again, get out and train. Mayday, 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 Assistant 11 QRD, I'm pushing the button. Mayday, 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 Assistant 11.